Night Train to Bucharest by Leonard Wells, August 2010. Chapter 5. Hell on the Night Train to Bucharest. After speaking to the ambassador, Richard Bishop called his wife, who was downstairs in the kitchen. "Christina, darling, we have work to do. I'm back working for the British government as of now. I have to go to Bucharest tonight. I know it's Christmas. Will you go and get me a ticket and the usual reservation on the night train?" While he was speaking, she started to climb the stairs towards him. Tears flooded down her cheeks. By the time she reached his arms, she was sobbing. "My darling, my princess, you knew this day might come when we married 4 years ago. My country needs me. I cannot and will not refuse. Please don't cry. It hurts me so much to see you this way. Come on now, my brave one. God willing, I will be back home in a day or two, and I promise I will take you to visit your mother in San Francisco." Christina gripped him even tighter and kissed him as if it was the final kiss. "I live only for you, my prince. I shall spend all the time you are away on my knees to Almighty God that you will come home safe and sound." "All right, my princess, wash your face and go and get me that ticket and reservation. You should be back in plenty of time to make me some sandwiches for the trip. You know how I love anything you give me to eat. Off you go now." Christina washed her face and was in their little Fiat within 3 minutes. The station was just 2 minutes away, and as she expected, there was no one on the station when she bought the first-class ticket and made the reservation. Meanwhile, Roger was packing an overnight bag. He carried no gun. His only protection was his walking stick, and few men were a match for him when he held that rustic-looking cane in his hand. After a quick shower, he put on his heavy thermal underwear. He had travelled on this night train many times, and he knew how inefficient the heating system was. He decided on thick cavalry twill trousers with a really heavyweight turtleneck sweater. For a topcoat, he chose his ex-Navy camel-coloured duffel coat, and anticipating the snow in Bucharest, he picked a light brown fedora hat. Before Christina arrived back with the tickets, he sat quietly in an armchair by the log fire and quietly prayed. "Father, I that am a sinner salute thee, and pray that I cause thee no offence, for I do stink as a sinner stinks. All my life thou hast shamed me with thy love for me. All my days thou hast filled my cup of life to overflowing in so many ways. I asked for your help to find a companion, and thou did bring me a princess in my Christina. Lord, take care of her if I am prevented from returning to her. Help me to help my country, whatever the odds, whatever the danger." He crossed himself as he heard the car return. "Oh, Richard, I don't envy you taking that night train on a night like this. It is snowing quite a lot now. We've only about 45 minutes before I have to drive you to the station. I will make you some of your favourite cheese and onion sandwiches on thick rye bread, and your flask of coffee." Richard felt a slight feeling of uneasiness at leaving Christina. He had fallen in love with her at first sight over 4 years ago, and she meant everything to him. Something bothered him. Something didn't feel right. A slight sensation that all was not well, that there was something he was missing, something he was not seeing. He walked into the kitchen and put his arms around her waist from behind. "Princess, I'd like you to go and stay with your sister in Valtradone. Can you arrange that, please?" If the roads are too bad, take the early morning train. They usually get through. I'll feel much happier knowing you're not alone. Christina had been planning to tell her prince that he was going to be a father on Christmas morning. It was to have been a very special Christmas, but she decided to wait until he returned. She loved him too much to want him to be more concerned about her than she could see he already was. He was her everything, her universe. She sealed his sandwiches in a resealable plastic bag and put them inside a plastic box. A stainless steel flask was filled with his favourite Indonesian coffee from the island of Java. She carried them into the living room, where Roger was sitting on his favourite leather armchair, staring into the crackling fire. She put down the carrier bag with his sandwiches and coffee and knelt at his feet. "Is it going to be a dangerous mission you go on, my husband?" "Darling," he said, "we are all in God's hands. Tonight I go into battle for my country and for you. You know I have always told you that no matter what happens to me, we will always be together for all eternity in the real world, the next world. My prince, you know we women can't see things the way some of you men can, so totally unselfishly. We are concerned with living now in the here and now." She was having to bite her tongue to keep the secret of the life within her womb, at least for a few more days. As they drove through the falling snow to the station, he reminded her how to get in touch with him quickly. Using her mobile quick dial system, she had only to press number 1 and then press the call button, and he would get the message that she needed him. He had trained her to do it in the dark many times. He refused to let her wait and see him off at the station, and walked onto the deserted platform with his small overnight bag and a carrier bag with the refreshments. The waiting room was empty. The train was 4 minutes behind time, the indicator board said, which was remarkable considering the conditions. He felt good to be working again. He felt it was a very important mission, but he felt rather alone. He had not worked for over 4 years since he was forcibly retired, but now he was back, and he sat quietly turning over the facts as he knew them in his mind. At last the train trundled in slowly, its sounds muffled by the snow. Roger loved trains, especially night trains, and in Romania they had a lot of overnight trains to remote places. He loved Romania. He loved Britain. He loved Christina. To be continued soon.